What's up, everybody? It's Levi from LeviLassick.com. Thanks again for joining me, and please like and subscribe below. It really helps a lot. This episode is 2 of 6 in my interview with Dr. Misak. Dr. Misak was the third doctor out of the 5 doctors that helped me cure my ulcerative colitis over a year time frame. So in this episode, you're going to learn about learning from naturopathic doctors and things like, can he tell how long ago you ate pork? You're going to learn about the blood type diet, which is the diet that I still follow pretty closely today. Getting rid of acne and following the process versus focusing on product, which is really important. So I hope you find this video helpful. I think you will, and come join us.
A new consult, I'm with you 3.5 hours,
No, and
follow-ups.
I gotta say, and for anybody that's new to exploring natural medicine, I tell you what, I learned in my year of recovery, working with 5 doctors, Dr. Misak being one of them. I learned so much in that year time frame because they actually do spend time with you, and I mean, it was just amazing what I learned. I still remember conversations, and actually even I don't know if we talked about Dr. Tammy De Gregorio.
I still work with her. Yeah, she works on my teeth.
There, yeah. So, right, that was the 4th doctor I saw because I still had mercury fillings whenever I was 34 years old from whenever I was 18.
I probably told you to get them out of your teeth.
Yeah. And so went and saw her, who happened to be the top, one of the top mercury removal dentists in the country, was right there in Pittsburgh. And she was the first dentist that has ever spent any time with me, as far as, she would numb me up and then she would sit there, and it was almost, I would go, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I'm going to hang out with you until you're numb. Do you have any questions? And we would sit there and have conversations about natural medicine. And I learned so much from her just as a dentist that I've never had any conversation with any dentist before whatsoever. And yourself as well. I remember you could tell when I ate pork, and actually when I was seeing Dr. Misak, I was eating beef and meat at that time, which, by the way, it's your fault that I don't eat meat anymore. And I've been going off of that for 6 years strong, and still.
There you go, man.
Don't
get there.
That's the vegetarian diet right there, which in growing up in high school football and eating 6 meals a day, and it was always like protein. I cut my protein after I finally listened to you after several months of rebellion, because I didn't, I'm from Texas and I grew up on beef and barbecue, and I was like, are you kidding me? Cut that out? All right, no, that's a part of me, right? And but I finally did, and I probably cut my protein intake by, I would say, 75-80%, and you couldn't even tell. Actually, I felt like I lost some baby
You
fat.
leaned up, yeah.
And it was absolutely amazing. And now people are looking at me, and I'm over 40 now. So like, I'm 40, and people are like, wait, you're 40 and you're a vegetarian, and wait, what?
Yep.
They're very confused. But you would do that algorithm on me, and I loved pork as well. And that was one of the things where you're like, you've got to get the pork out of your diet. I don't care who you are. And you would tell, you're like, you ate pork 3 days ago, right? And I would go, what? How did you know that? Well, my algorithm tells me that's. So it was very exact, very precise.
The women really get upset when I said, how much chocolate did you eat yesterday?
Yeah, I could see that. So it was absolutely amazing. So I guess to kind of transition to about that, you introduced me to the blood type diet as well. Is that something that you still advocate for or talk about?
What I do, blood type diet is based upon lectin interactions and agglutination, poor oxygenation. And, and Diadamo identified that certain lectins would trigger off this agglutination reaction. And he found that certain lectins would specifically react with certain blood types. If I don't test people, remember how I do that testing electrodermal and say, hey, you specifically react to this food, We use it's called electroacupuncture by Vol. Again, everything's electric. We find balanced electrical points. Vol identified this in the 1950s, and then he was up for Nobel Prize until he figured out that I can tell people that what they're reacting to and how to get cured by changing their energy efficiency with what they're doing in their diet. Then he became a quack. And so I test people. And the interesting thing is when I see patterns of what they react to with greater than 90% accuracy, I can tell what blood type they have. So because the blood type identifies it. But what I find is that people don't react to every food that the blood type diet says don't eat. So if I haven't seen somebody and I haven't tested them and they're just like, hey, I see your chemistry and you're 2,000 miles away, but I can't test you for foods. I want you to do the blood type diet for a month as an elimination diet. And then we'll bring in one food every 5 days and we'll measure your bricks, we'll measure your pH, and we'll watch for that reactivity. Or you're going to know it when you bring that food back in. You're going to feel like crap. Yeah. So yeah, I give it clarity. I give it, you know, it's definitely a good place to start if people don't know where to start, but it's not written in gold that everything that says don't eat that you're going to react to. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Because everyone's individualized as well. And
exactly. That's what I find.
And, you know, but also
you're type A, I presume.
I am type A. Yeah. Which was the big deal, right? Because whenever, you know, I dealt with acne since I was like 13, 14 years old, like really bad acne. Now it started to lessen in my 20s. Huh? Wheat?
Yep.
No, it was the beef. You're going to make me go to the punchline. But I struggled with acne teens, 20s, and 30s, even so I got really sick whenever I was 33, and I was still having some breakouts here and there. It was getting less, but it was still significant I was going, I'm 33. I shouldn't be breaking out. Well, when I lost 50 pounds and clearly my whole colon was diseased and I couldn't hold in any food or water, I realized I had the cleanest complexion I had ever, you know, I was about 10 shades lighter because I was so pale, but still I had zero acne. And I never thought about it until meeting you, because when I started to recover and I gained my appetite back, I was eating ground beef every day. Ground beef. I was just craving ground beef. Or there's that good hot dog restaurant, Franctuary in Pittsburgh. And I would go to Franctuary and I would go to Burgatory, oh man, I love that place. And I was just consuming, but then all of a sudden I started getting really big knots in my skin again. And you were like, well, algorithm says, you know, that's the beef, that's the pork. And, you know, I was really, that whole time I was in Pittsburgh, I never cut it out. It wasn't until I moved away from Pittsburgh that I was finally like, you know what, let me give this thing a try. Within 2 weeks of cutting out beef, I mean, I probably haven't had a breakout since, you know? And so I completely attribute that, because I was already gluten-free at that time.
If your body can't process something, it pushes it out through the skin. You've overloaded the liver. It's shown in the nitrates on that equation that I do. And the nitrates will say, hey, your ammonia levels go up. Your heart beats hard. You don't want to wake up in the morning because of that. You get muscle cramping, stuff like that. You get vitamin A deficiency. The skin breaks out. You know, all types. It's just, if you can't tolerate something, it'll show. And then that leads to deficiencies because your body depletes in order to try to process it. Your body does its best job. You're as healthy as you can be based upon the environment that you create. The problem is people think that they're eating healthy.
Yep.
But it's not healthy for them.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's, it's amazing. And so I haven't had it since, you know, really. I mean, I've had like 1 or 2 bites here and there, and that's because we were at a fancy restaurant and it came out on a course, you know, and I was like, well, that looks a little too good to pass up. But you know, 1 little bite every year, it doesn't affect me, it doesn't hurt me. And, you know, this is now 7 years I've gone with absolutely 0 signs or symptoms of ulcerative colitis. And
congratulations. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. So, you know, and again, and that was the GI doctors were going to cut out my colon. You know, that was that's how they were going to cure me, was to remove my colon.
You realize that it's a process, not a product. It's not that I sold you some magic supplement.
Right.
It's the process that I showed you of what your body needed to do.
Well,
All we're doing is changing the internal world so your body can do what it was meant to do in the first place.
right.